beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. Welcome to part 2 of going deep into the quantum field, learning about how to collapse time, how to really tap into the frequencies that allow you to experience your pure potentiality. Without further ado, here is part 2 of your next Quantum Business Queen podcast episode. Okay, what do I need to embrace? This is hard for my beautiful spiritual light beings. You need to embrace all of this and probably more, but you need to embrace your ability to receive. You need to embrace your ability to be like, yeah, I want to make a lot of money. I want you guys saying that, and I want it to trigger you, and I want to feel where in your system that is triggered, and I want to get the story behind it. I want you guys to embrace your 6-figure self, your multi-6-figure self, your multi-millionaire self. That place where it's like, that is my absolute baseline norm. I want you to embrace your ability to receive. Yes. This is also very hard. Like, this has been coded in the light beings not to receive. This is bad, isn't it? Oh, it's bad if I receive. I'm selfish. The coding around receivership for people that are meant to be seen as good people, such a distortion. I know immediately in my reality when I've shut myself off from receiving. Immediately. It manifests itself so quickly. It's freaking crazy. So here's what I want you guys to say. Anytime you catch yourself cut, and I want you to set the intention that you awaken to every moment. I'm going to say this very slowly because I want you to catch this. I want you to awaken to every moment you cut yourself off from receiving, because what we think is going to happen, this is such a subconscious plug-in. If we receive too much, it's going to be all taken away from me. So I'm only going to receive a moderate amount because I'm okay if that goes. We have this whole, this is such a crazy distortion where it's like, it's too good to be true. Get rid of that right now, guys. Right now. With every aspect of your being, get rid of that distortion. Anytime you catch yourself in this, oh my God, this is getting good. This is getting a little too good. I better just put myself back into, I better check it so it's not that good because I don't want it to get too good. Your mind automatically does that. I want you to catch it every time. And every time you catch it, I want you to say to yourself, the better it gets, the better it gets. The better it gets, the better it gets. This is the new layer, and now it gets to get better. And this is a new layer, and now it gets to get better. Instead of you falling into this whole thing of, oh shit, it's getting a little too good, I'm going to shake it up a little because this is going to be painful if this changes. That's the matrix plug-in with that. The better it gets, the better it gets. And this is where the boss bitch energy comes in, because you have to protect your boundaries with this. Like, I have such a standard for who I allow into my sphere. That one goes deep. It so does. I have a standard for who comes into my, I have put such a strong intention that I only support light beings, and I only really code light beings with this information because I know once it's embodied, how insanely powerful it is. And that's why you guys are all here. I have such a standard for who, I pinch myself when I think of the people who are in the business academy, and I have no standard for anything below low vibe in there. So this is where you embrace the boss bitch and the boundaries, because this is your staunch alignment. This is you upholding standards, and you get in your reality whatever you hold as a standard. So I want you to just zap yourself with that energy. I'm not tolerating this anymore. I'm not tolerating whatever treatment anymore. I'm just not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to tolerate not liking this anymore. It's done. And once you do that, you're going to start unplugging the densities from your reality and making space for newness. You can't invite newness in if your grid is full, by the way. If your grid is fully plugged in, especially with misaligned things, it's plugged in with all of these things and you're overflowing with responsibility, obligation, density, this, that. There's no room for newness. So this is where you get to be a boss bitch around what you tolerate and what your boundaries are and who you invite in and who you don't. I get pretty freaking cutthroat with this nowadays. And then you get to, with that, be freaking brave. Now, this is where it's important to be able to understand and embrace the unknown. You have to build this muscle. Like, I cannot instill this like strongly enough with you guys, with you beings of light who are here to help with so much more than just building a business. Like you came, each and every one of you came here to anchor light onto this planet, to anchor your own unique soul codes onto this planet to help with ascension. And this is where I need you to claim your codes of being brave. This is who you are. Claim it all back. Stop being afraid. Stop succumbing to the media. Stop succumbing to the lie of inflation. Stop succumbing to the fear. Stop succumbing to the... No, done. You're brave. You're a sovereign being. This is what you get to embrace. This is what the version of you in that timeline is doing. I laugh at it now. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are freaking ridiculous. You're like, you're grasping at all of these things. You're trying to like freak us all out so you can have control. It's already done. Just let it go. I giggled now. They got nothing on me anymore. But you guys need to be brave. You need to be the ones to pave a new path. You need to be the revolutionaries. And this is what the Octurian said. The revolutionaries of our time are the people that will hold the light amongst the chaos. And you're going to go against the grain of a lot of people you know, a lot of people you love, but this is what it means to embrace deeper layers of you, deeper layers of your sovereignty, and deeper layers of your highest timeline of abundance and freedom. And with that comes the unknown. That's cool. Invite it in. Similar to that part of you that was scared shitless, invite that unknown in as well. But when you connect into that vision, remember, and you can see that in detail, allow your ego to understand that this is where we're headed. So it's okay if we are suspended in the unknown for a minute. If I anchor into all this, if I do all of this work that Sarah said to do, I know I'm going to land there. But if I let myself get pulled back and plugged in and hooked and triggered and whatever, boom, I know I'll land somewhere else. However, in saying that, we will fall off. It's okay. Get back on. And then get back on again. That's your day. That's what every day is. Every day is falling off, getting the codes of that situation and getting back on. And all of a sudden, instead of it being a little bit like this, it'll start to be like that. But it won't even matter because you just love every aspect of the path and the journey. None of that will matter. Now, once you embrace this, you have to understand it is your job. It is your responsibility to make decisions with that timeline in mind. Now, this is a quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Are you basing your decisions on their limitations of the past or possibilities of the future? This is how you quantum leap and continue your journey of ascension forward. By making every freaking decision, you tune into that version of you in that timeline. If you come to a crossroads and you're shaky, you're scared, you're not sure what to do, and that version of you is saying, make this decision, please. And you're making the decision on the possibility of the future, you are substantiating that timeline. If you're making a decision based on the limitations of the past, you have no confidence in your abilities to manifest. You have not built the muscle of belief. You need to build that muscle, and it's going to be the process of building that muscle is going to require you to be scared. Sorry. It just is. It's going to require you to. But this is how you're coded. Sometimes it's not in comfort. It will require you to be scared. Now I'm going to give you one last piece for all of this. We are manifesting through basically this. we need to sit in this for a second. I've given you guys a lot. How are we going? Are we okay? This is a lot. I feel like I need to let this integrate for a second. Okay, let's let this code sink in for a sec before I give you the one last thing. But this is really cool because I feel you all receiving this, and you get to keep it forever, so you can always watch it if you need a little ego blast. I call it ego blasting. You know, this sounds so generic and cliche and, personal development-y or whatever, but like, do you have a morning routine? And in that morning routine, do you ego blast yourself? And what I mean by that is, do you sit and remind yourself of every freaking amazing thing you have done and manifested? Because if you're not doing that, then it's going to be a little bit harder to build that muscle of belief for yourself. We interrupt this awesome podcast episode to tell you about my life-changing Quantum Business Academy. If you are ready to take your business to the next levels of abundance and freedom, then you're definitely going to want to hear more. Please don't take my word for it though. Here is one of our alumni sharing their experience.
My time in the QBA was incredibly expansive, very rich and rewarding, and I can't thank Sarah Tynan enough for her wonderful guidance, support and belief, and sometimes when I didn't have that belief in myself, and the wonderful people in the group. Was really life-changing and a very rewarding experience. So yeah, just expansive and big and bold and brave. It was wonderful.
If you want to know more, then please head over to my show notes, book a call with me, or you can message me in DMs. Now let's get back to the podcast. So please, every morning, write it all down, because sometimes it's hard to remember the good things you've done when you're not feeling the best. Ego blast the shit out of yourself every morning. Be like, oh my God. Like, I used to do that because when I was working in the Silicon Valley, I used to look out over like the horizon. I forget what floor we were on, but I used to pretend the horizon was Melbourne. And I ego blast myself like, oh my God, I manifested living in Melbourne. I wanted that. I manifested this. I wanted that. I manifested this. I manifested that. Like, if you guys are not doing that every day, it's going to be harder for you to build that confidence in yourself as a creator. And therefore, it'll be a little bit harder to base your decisions on the possibilities of the future. But if you want to base your decisions on the possibility of the future, remind yourself all of the times you have been that deliberate creator. And to be honest, us right here, sitting in this, you manifested this. This information is not for everybody. Your soul knew you were ready to receive it though. And your soul, you guys know that you're being tapped on the shoulder because your soul wants to take you to that next level. And that's what you've asked for. You may be asking for this. You might have been asking for this for a long time, but you guys are all here. So every morning, ego blast yourself. And then, okay, so here's this. This is good. All right. Ego blast yourself. And then you're going to get yourself feeling good. And in that moment, you kind of let all your guard down and you let all of this resistance go. And you're just like, yeah, man, I freaking did this. That's when you plant this next seed of possibility, because that is very fertile energy. So just remember that instead of like forcing yourself to like say mantras and like, oh, I'm a multimillionaire. Oh yeah. When your energy's flat, get your energy super hyped with everything you've done, like get you amped up and then plant the seed. That's very fertile energy. And this will make it so much easier to build your muscle of belief because you've planted something in very potent frequency and you'll see it happen. Like you'll get evidence that your ego will need of what you've done or what you're doing. And then you'll be able to use that evidence for momentum. If that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to give you guys the last piece to this. All right. So I want to talk about just this very last thing, because again, when these things come into our awareness, I always say when the truth is spoken, the spell is broken. When we understand the programs our subconscious mind is running and we actually have an awareness around it, it's like, now that I see you, I can break you. I can break the spell of you. And it's not to say like, I don't necessarily agree with, I shared something on my Instagram today. I don't necessarily agree with this whole kind of thing around like sitting in your shadow work all the time, because that for me is you're just activating that frequency time and time and time again. Sit in the wound, sit in the trigger, get the awareness, let the awareness code you, and then frickin' move on. Okay? So, like you have to think about like, this girl said it brilliantly. Your mind, where you're focusing your energy is exactly the frequency you activate. And there are some very brilliant spiritual teachers out there that talk a lot about this, but the ones, and there's some ones that are pretty well known. I would dare to say famous, but, they talk about shadow work all the time and how necessary it is, and their freaking lives are in shambles. And so you got to watch that, what are the lives like, or the people you're taking advice from? Because sometimes it's like the information is interesting and profound and this and that. And it's like, well, what have you embodied and what do you experience? Because ultimately there's no truth. Remember, there's only quantum resonance. And so you get to determine what you experience in your reality and what aligns with your own truth. And if you're taking truths from people who, yeah, maybe they built a certain level of success and fame, but their life is freaking shit, just understand what they've developed their truth basis on. I divert. Anyway, just planting that seed there. Okay. So we manifest based on expectations. And this is our kind of how we subconsciously manifest. And what an expectation is, what I should say is an aligned expectation. An aligned expectation is where a desire, boom, 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 the frequency of a desire meets a belief. When those two marry, boom, here comes your manifestation in physicality. Your desire, your belief, you manifest everything you expect. And it can be as monotonous as you expect. When you wake up, your living room is going to be there. That is just a staunch, unshakable expectation. And guess what? You manifest that every freaking day. It's so subconscious though. But what happens is you can have misaligned expectations. You can have where a distortion meets a belief. Boom. And what happens? What I want you guys to understand is a common thread in this is a belief. The belief is the thing that sends everything out into like the quantum and anchors it into physicality. So what I want you to notice is, what does it paired itself with? Something that's aligned and creates an aligned expectation, which creates an aligned manifestation, or is it something that is misaligned in an expectation? And witness this again with compassion. Like, okay, I have a misaligned expectation that based on the evidence of my past, my slave anchors of my past, the storyline of my past, this has created a misaligned expectation of I'm just going to keep reverberating this frequency and have not very many clients in my future. Can you see how misaligned expectations create your manifestations? You're just expecting that, oh, I wake up and okay, well, this has been my programs that have been running, the frequencies that have been dominant in my field, and I just expect it to be the case. But it's so subconscious, it's hard to catch it. So in order to cut these, you have to start making different decisions and interrupting these misaligned expectations. So this is where you have to start doing the things that feel a little bit scary, but your soul is saying, I've been telling you to do this for ages, but you haven't listened to me because you've been too scared, or you've been waiting for the evidence to show up and it's not going to. I always say you have to choose abundance. You have to choose the new reality. You have to choose the new pattern before it can choose you back. Choose abundance before it can choose you back, guys. You have to choose a new reality before it can choose you back. But if you keep choosing the old misaligned expectations, well, guess what? It's going to choose you back too, just like the universe. I have so many, you guys love my stories because I have another one. But I want to tell you this because it's just from a place of me doing it. Like, this is a very small story, but it was just such an awareness where I had a girl who was helping me with my health and fitness, and she quoted me a price and I was like, yes, no brainer. And she messaged me and was super embarrassed. And she was like, Sarah, I quoted you the wrong price. I'm really freaking embarrassed, but you know what? It's okay. I'll honor the original price. Like, don't even worry, but I just want you to know for future, like if we re-sign or whatever, that's actually not, I don't know what I was thinking, what happened there. And I was like, yeah, no worries. And I went to do the direct deposit, and like something in the moment like caught me. And it was like, Sarah, pay her price that she said that pay her the price. Don't pay her the price that she says is acceptable. That's not actually what she charges. Pay her the higher price. And I was like, yeah, that's abundance. I'm choosing abundance in this moment. If I chose to pay her, like, you guys have to look behind why you choose things. So I thought to myself, if I'm choosing to give her the old lower price, that's me not in abundance. That's me not saying I have everything I want for nothing. I'm a mental billionaire. If I'm a mental billionaire, how would I make this decision today? You got to freaking choose it first. So I paid her the higher price and she was like over the moon. And that in and of itself, like, her gratitude was just like, that was my repayment. But lo and behold, I miraculously get all of like these clients. I think it was like 2 clients out of nowhere. That would have been quadruple the small amount that I paid her extra. And it's like, in that moment, I chose abundance. And then, you know what? The universe showed it straight back to me, straight away. So I want you guys to catch yourself in these moments. If you're a mental billionaire, how would you operate? And then choose it. Because this is where you open up these portals based on your decisions. If you're opening up portals based on, yeah, buts, and that I don't have, or the evidence is not here, what do you keep activating? Boom, past slave anchors, past distortions, past realities. I tell myself every day I'm a mental billionaire. Billionaires truly want for nothing. I guarantee that, in the material physical world. That's what my ego needs to hear. So if I am a mental billionaire, how do I choose things? How do I choose that abundance in my physical reality? And when you start choosing it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start creating new aligned expectations, because you're going to see that your abundant choices are going to get you abundant things back in your reality. So then you're going to learn to expect them. But when you're making misaligned decisions based on you not being fully whole or abundant or sovereign or whatever, this is where you perpetuate the misaligned expectations. And you perpetuate the misaligned beliefs in your abilities. Does this make sense? You guys are mental billionaires. You want for nothing. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, you are. Okay. Awesome. 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 Beautiful, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.